Imagine when you begin the climb. I grew up with a father who was a Democrat, and when I was a kid, he took me to a dedication ceremony to see the governor of my state because he said, "Son, you might live your whole life and never meet a governor." He couldn't imagine that someday I could be one. Couldn't imagine. If we're going to take back Congress and the White House, then we need family conservatives and fiscal conservatives and freedom conservatives, all three. But you know what kind of conservatives that we've got to be first and foremost? Competent conservatives. This is still a civil rights country. I say that because I'm still convinced America wants to like us. They want to vote for us. And if you don't believe that, just remember that the proposal to affirm marriage has been on the ballot in 30 states, and it has passed in every single one of them by an overall margin of 68%, even in states like California and Florida, where Obama won, so did traditional marriage. But it's when we lose our competence that the American people lose their confidence. And we lost Congress in 2006. With the war in Iraq going badly at that time, with government spending out of control, Americans disgusted at watching their fellow citizens hopelessly cling to rooftops as the water rose. We lost the White House in 2008 with the economy in free fall, and all Americans suddenly feeling as if they too lived below sea level, and that the levees they trusted weren't going to hold. In politics, perception is reality, and fairly or unfairly, by the end of the Bush administration, was seen as one giant henhouse guarded by the foxes. We're no longer Reagan's party of the city that's on the hill, a shining city on that hill. We became a party of the ruined city in the sea. Like it or not, Katrina became a metaphor for all the federal agencies doing a heck of a job for the interests that they were supposed to be regulating instead of the people they were supposed to be protecting. And America knows that the greedy will always be with us. They need to know that when they invest their savings, those investments might go up or down, but they will at least be invested in something, not used to pay off the guy who invested ahead of them. They need to know that when they put a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in their child's lunchbox, the kid's not going to end up in the emergency room. Folks are so darn tired of feeling that neither party gets it right, tired of having to choose between drowning figuratively in red tape and regulations if you're a small business, and drowning literally if a hurricane comes. Here come the Democrats, and we know what they're going to do. They're going to overregulate. And so the pendulum will swing way too far again, missing that just right spot of responsible regulation and oversight that Americans, like Goldilocks, are looking for. What we need to be is the party of just right. And some of you have heard me talk before about vertical politics. The idea that I believe that America is looking for the kind of conservative who won't just lead the country horizontally. Those average Americans sitting around their kitchen tables tonight with their bills spread out and the calculator going don't think so much in horizontal terms. They think primarily, not left, right, liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican. They think vertically. Will these people take us up, or will they take us down? With everything within me, from the depth of my bones, I believe that the principles of free market conservatism, strong, defensible borders, the idea of protecting life and family, I believe those principles will take us up, not down. And with all that is within me, I believe with all my heart that the principles of taxing and spending and creating a monstrous government will take us down and not up. And that's why we need to exercise the confident conservatism that can get us back where we lead. I believe that what we need right now is some vertical patriotism to lift us out of this economic mess. I've never been one to hold my breath waiting for the federal government to help me. I told the Republican convention last year when I spoke there, I'm not a Republican because I grew up rich. I'm a Republican because I didn't want to spend the rest of my life poor, waiting for the government to come and rescue me. For the stimulus bill to save us. Let's show what the private sector can do. And the head of a small business ought not to be asking himself, how many people do I have to fire tomorrow? But rather, how little can I take from this business to keep it going? What great deals and innovations can I offer my existing customers and do things that will help me find new ones? Sometimes it may feel like we're whistling in the dark, but if we keep at what made America great, America once again will be whistling while we work. By behaving as if our jobs and our businesses will not just survive but thrive, we will ensure that that's what will happen. I know nobody knows what the Dow Jones or the unemployment rate or the gross domestic product will be 6 months or a year from now. Those numbers are probably going to be up to us and our hard work and the government leaving us alone for a little while. We will create them by what we do or don't do, by whether we choose to be people of confidence or whether we choose to be afraid. I think this is a time for trust, but trust in God, not government, in our free enterprise system. And it's not messed with by the people. And trust in the goodness and the industriousness and the creativity of our people. If our founders had focused on all the dangers and obstacles facing them, we'd still be 13 colonies. But they looked beyond the revolution as if we've already won. Our ancestors faced a miserable trip in steerage, but they looked past the journey as if they could already see the Statue of Liberty welcoming them. We need to look past this recession and see the renewed prosperity that awaits us. I bet very few Americans are sitting around in fear of Peter Orszag, the new director of the OMB, Office of Management and Budget, especially his health care. And his pet peeve is treatments that work for some people but not for everybody. And if he has his way, medical care will be rationed. And some computer right here in the city of Washington will decide what treatment you can have. And it won't be you and your doctor deciding that. I'll tell you something, once Medicare stops paying for a variety of the treatments, private insurance will follow. They're going to want a one-size-fits-all, and if you've had heart problems or cancer, you know how wrong-headed that can be. If the 80 million aging baby boomers in this country want to get all worked up about something, I ought to get worked up about where we're headed with health care. And the fact that we won't own our own health care if we continue to move in the direction that's been announced. We need to be vertical patriots when it comes to energy independence. We need to recognize that the one area where I think that President Obama could actually imitate the French might be in nuclear energy. We need more nuclear power plants, but they'll never get built without putting the federal loan guarantees into place. And one good thing, weren't many, but there was one good thing in the stimulus bill. It was $50 billion in loan guarantees for nuclear plants. Unfortunately, it got removed in conference. Those guarantees would have created construction jobs, well-paying, ongoing jobs once the plants were built. But we didn't do that. Now we need to recognize that Americans are being deprived of safe and inexpensive power that would have reduced our dependence upon foreign oil. And we need to be vertical patriots when it comes to education policy. Now, the stimulus doubled federal funding for education, but it didn't mandate one bit of reform for an already broken system, even though study after study shows that if you just throw money at schools that are already failing, but you don't change the structure and nature of them and give parents choice and accountability for those who are in the system, it doesn't make a difference. We need to get on the side of parents and the side of children and not on the side of teacher unions, and once again make sure that if we're going to spend money in education, kids get an education from it. At a time when many people are giving up on us, I just want to remind us that this is not a time for us to go to the warehouse. This is a time for us to do anything but. I'm an owner of a bass boat. I don't have a whole lot of boy toys, but that's one of my boy toys, a bass boat. It's a 20-foot bass boat with a 225 Mercury horsepower outboard on it. That doesn't mean a whole lot unless you're a bass fisherman, and if you do, you're saying, ooh, cool boat. And if you don't understand that, you really aren't living yet, and I hope that you will get a life soon. But for those of us who love to fish, understand that nobody buys a boat for the purpose of putting it in a warehouse. You would think I was an idiot if you came up to me and said, what are your hobbies? And I said, well, I like to hunt, I like to fish. And then you might ask me, what do you have a boat? Oh, yeah. And I described to you my boat. And then you said, well, does it run fast? And what if I said, well, I don't know, I've never put it in the water. I keep it in the warehouse because, you know, if I get it in the water, it could get all messed up. It could hit a stump and get a hole in it. It could get scratched up. I could run over something and knock the lower unit off of it. And so I'm afraid to put it in the water because you just don't know what's going to happen. It could just really get hurt. So I keep it